surgery. Now, the one vehicle accident occurred just after 7 o'clock this morning, with Tiger being the lone occupant.
What's up, y'all? Let's have some fun today. Talk a little about the new running back, you. Appreciate you guys, as always, joining the show. Should be a fun show today. Welcome into the rundown here on Fox Sports Radio 1400 around the world on the iHeartRadio app. My name is Rob Sanders. Thanks for joining us today. As always, phone lines are open for you at 803-978-1832. I'm on Twitter at RobSoundsGood. Lots of stuff to get into today. The ACC has announced a schedule change for the Clemson Tigers. We'll talk about that later on. Also, we've got the latest Deshaun Watson saga. In the Deshaun Watson saga. I mean, we're getting to the point now where I just feel like I kind of have to laugh a little bit with some of the stuff that you hear. But if you want to really get into it and what it would take to get Deshaun Watson, one NFL insider, a guy that I have a lot of respect for, came out and said, hey, this is what it's going to take to get him. So we'll talk about that as we roll along, of course, with the latest in the Deshaun Watson saga, because that's basically what it boils down to.
Like sands through the
exactly.
hourglass.
Everyone wants Deshaun Watson. What are you willing to give up to get the great quarterback there from the Houston Texans? Will they give him up? Yeah, we'll talk about that later on. You know, we've been doing our system use stuff this week. And what I mean by that is we've had, what do we have, like DBU on, what was DB? Well, it was WRU, wide receiver U, on Friday. We had DBU yesterday. And I was going to do defensive end U tomorrow, and I still will. But today is the new running back U. Now, for those that have been following along, it's basically, it comes down to, we've got, I give you the top three and what South Carolina and Clemson have done. So interesting stuff there. You get an idea of which university can currently say, you know what, as far as putting guys in the NFL, we are near the top. So I've got my top three as well as what the Gamecocks and Tigers are doing. So let's start with South Carolina and Clemson, since it's right here in our great state here. Since 2010, that's something else. We only go back to 2010. Since 2010, the Gamecocks have had two running backs drafted. Mike Davis in the fourth round in 2015, Marcus Lattimore in the fourth round in 2013, both going to the San Francisco 49ers. Now, you have, if you've been around Gamecock football, you would know how important and how big of an impact Marcus Lattimore is or was to the program. And Mike Davis was a heck of a running back as well. So two great running backs there. But two in the span of 10 years, you know, you got to put a little more in there than that if you want to be called the running back U. Clemson had more players that made the list. C.J. Spiller was a first-round pick in 2010. Jamie Harper was up there in the fourth round in 2011. Andre Ellington was a sixth-round pick in 2013. Zach Brooks was a sixth-round pick in 2016 with Seattle. And Wayne Gallman was a 2017 fourth-round pick by the Giants. All right, so there's your rundown there on South Carolina and Clemson. Obviously, they did not make the top three. Shout out to Alan watching on Facebook and Shannon. Appreciate you guys over there. If you want to respond to the show, 803-978-1832. All right, so my numbers, after I did the work here, LSU comes in at number 3. Number 3 on the list. They had, of course, Leonard Fournette, drafted 4th overall, did his time with the Jaguars, and then moved on, won a Super Bowl with the Bucks. So he's kind of at the top of the list there. You go with Jeremy Hill from 2014, had a good career. Also, Stevan Ridley, or is it It's Stevan. Learn to speak, sir. Anyway, Ridley was a 2011 pick. Spencer Ware, remember him, 2013 pick. Alfred Blue, I remember him with the Redskins. Played a little bit with Houston too. So pretty good little running back there. Darius Geis was a 2nd-round pick, but has had issues off the field. And you got Kenny Hilliard, Charles Scott, and a couple of other guys that were not drafted. But LSU, kind of the clear winner there at number 3. Now at number 2 and number 1, it's almost a tie with me with these two. I'm going to go with Georgia at number 2, though, because these 4 guys are just outstanding when you really stop and look at it. You've got Todd Gurley, drafted 10th overall, 2-time All-Pro, Offensive Player of the Year, Offensive Rookie of the Year, did everything you could possibly ask him to do. That's what made it really hard for me. But after that, you had Sony Michel, 2018 first-round pick, 22 star. How many? I'm looking at the wrong numbers here. And then Nick Chubb, a 2018 second-round pick, a great player. And let's not forget Keith Marshall, 2016 7th-round pick, and Sean Chapis, I believe is his name, 2011 7th-round pick. It's really hard for me to put the Bulldogs at number 2 but I look at Alabama, and here was the tipping point. Georgia had 5 guys drafted in 10 years. Alabama has 8, 9, 10. They had twice as many guys drafted in 10 years. You can hang your hat on Todd Gurley and Sony Michel and Nick Chubb, and this may change later on a little bit, but I like Georgia at number 2. Alabama gets number 1. Mark Ingram, drafted in 2011 in the first round, starting a ton of games. Yeah, Zach's right. I forgot Stromile Swift from last year. Sorry about that, Zach. Yeah, but you still add him to the list. It's still not quite enough. Trent Richardson, 2012 pick, 3rd overall, had a decent career. Eddie Lacy, I think he's one of the more disappointing, and I think that's because he played for the Packers, to be honest with you. Kenyon Drake, 2016 pick. Derrick Henry, 2016 2nd-round pick. In the past 2 seasons, he's rushed for over 3,500 yards, had over 2,000 yards last year. And to be honest, Derrick Henry was kind of the tipping point there for me, because I think that right now he's the most dominant running back in in the pros. And that's kind of what put him over the top. Josh Jacobs from 2019, a 1st-round pick. TJ Yeldon, a 2nd-round pick in 2015. Jalston Fowler in 2015. Damian Harris in 2019. And Bo Scarborough. If you ask a lot of Alabama fans, they'll tell you that if Bo Scarborough didn't break his leg in that national championship game, Alabama probably would have beat Clemson. And you know what? It's kind of hard for me to argue against that. He went out. Things kind of went south there for the Tide. What a great running back he was. 7th-round pick in 2018, though. So there's our list. Some other mentionable folks here. You can look at Stanford with Christian McCaffrey. You can look at Ohio State, maybe Miami in the mix too. But I think you can argue who's 2 or 3, who's 1 or 2. But I think it's safe to say LSU right now is number 3. And and Alabama and Georgia are 1 and 2. Shannon says they have Georgia at number 1, but other than that, a good list. Yeah, I agree. It's just, I'm telling you, the thing that turned it for me was simply the most dominant running back in the NFL right now is Derrick Henry. And Alabama had a lot more drafted. But I tell you what, 2 years ago, it had been really hard for me to not give it to Georgia with Sonny Michel, Todd Gurley, and that setup. Makes you wonder how Georgia lost games with that great of a running game. Not ripping on the Bulldogs today. You just look at teams and be like, man, they had this guy. How does that happen? Zach says Bama gets so much talent they could be DBU, wide receiver U, OLU, DLU, any position but kicker U. Someone wanted me to do the kickers yesterday, and I don't have the heart. Not enough kickers are drafted, to be honest with you. But that's my list, and feel free to respond to that at 803-978-1832, 803-978-1832. Alabama's done well. I think they've been in the top 3 or 4 in every list we've done, starting with wide receiver U on Friday, DBU yesterday. So, yeah, you see a lot of the Alabama Crimson Tide in all of these lists. Tomorrow, we're doing defensive end U. So I'm sure Alabama's going to be in that too. Out to the phones we go. Welcome into the rundown. Good afternoon.
Yeah, I have a question that's a little off topic.
Sure.
I'm having an argument with my 2 South Carolina workmates about Clemson basketball. Do you think they'll be a 6 seed?
They're projected to be anywhere between a 6 or an 8 seed. A lot of it depends on if they're able to get some more games in. They did get their game rescheduled with Syracuse on the road. If they can not stub their toe at Wake Forest tomorrow and then win that game next week at in the Carrier Dome, they're already a top 5 seed in the ACC. They may move up as high as 3 because the rest of their schedule is kind of hot dog water, to be honest. And that if you're the 3rd seed in the ACC, I don't think it's that far-fetched to think that you'll be a 6th seed in the tournament.
A 6th seed, yeah.
Yeah.
And I had a question about Florida State.
Sure.
Florida State seems they just don't get the respect I think they deserve every year with their basketball program. Well, I think they're ranked 11th right now.
Leonard Hamilton is one of the most underrated coaches in college basketball. And, we always hear people talking about Mike Krzyzewski and Roy Williams and all that. Those guys are kind of yesterday's news, in my opinion. Leonard Hamilton has been beating them senseless for the past 3 or 4 years in a row. They just got to get over the hump and get into the Final Four with the way that his team plays, where they go 10 and 11 deep off the bench. Florida State is an absolutely tough out, but for some reason, when they get into the tournament, they forget how to shoot free throws, and that ends up costing them when they get down into the Sweet 16 or better.
All right, thanks a lot, man. Let's see you every day.
Appreciate it, buddy. Thank you so much. All right, if you want to call up, you got some questions about the some hoops, we can talk about that. We can talk about my running back U list here. Zach says Gurley beat Clemson by himself. Yeah, he did. And if you remember correctly, that was the game that Deshaun Watson's career took off. He came in looking like a skinny little fella and threw an absolute dart to Sharon Peak in the end zone and shut up those guys at down there in the Bulldog Stadium down in Athens. And his career took off from there. But in that game, Todd Gurley was just stupid. I think he had 200 yards rushing. I think Georgia had 2 rushers with 150 yards or more. Clemson defense was absolute Swiss cheese that day, and they just didn't have enough. So, yeah, you're absolutely right about that, Zach. All right, as I said about the Clemson team, they got ACC announced a schedule change. They will play Syracuse, a game they're making up that was postponed due to COVID-19. That game will be on March the 3rd. So mark your calendars there, Clemson fans, if you're into that. By the way, South Carolina looks to bounce back from a 5-game losing streak. They play at Mississippi State tomorrow night. This is a Mississippi State team. They were leading like by a couple of points with about 12 minutes to go. End up losing by 16. It's the South Carolina basketball team just needs a reset. I don't mean like, Coach Martin should go somewhere. I just think that they're just tough right now. It's just tough what they're dealing with. And it just seems like, I don't think they've quit on Coach Martin, but you watch them play and it's like, they seem like they're just, I don't want to say just slow, but I want to say like they're just trying to catch up. Like they're constantly almost able to get out of the pool, but not quite. 803-978-1832. 803-978-1832. That is the number to call to join us here on the Rundown. Right here on Fox Sports Radio 1400. Brandon was talking about some prayers for Tiger Woods. Yes, Tiger Woods hurt today in a car accident. Leg injuries is what we've been told. He's in surgery. And that's pretty much all I can tell you about it. What you heard in our top of the hour update there, that's pretty much what I've got on the Tiger Woods front. You never want to see anyone that's hurt or injured or whatever. But I tell you what, man, I watched that Tiger Woods documentary on HBO, and it's absolutely the stuff that he went through. It's a fascinating documentary, by the way. But it wasn't put out by like Team Tiger. I mean, and it wasn't a rip piece either. It just seemed like it told you the good and the bad things about Tiger Woods and the stuff that he's been through. And then now having to deal with this. And I don't know how serious it is. They're just saying that he has injuries in his legs, which if you're a golfer, you kind of need those. So I'm not one to look ahead too far, but we do have the Masters coming up shortly. And, the big question will be, can Tiger Woods get right for the Masters? Something to think about there. 803-978-1832. 803-978-1832 is the number to call. I've got a big Deshaun Watson trade rumor that's floating around out there that if this team gives up this much for Deshaun Watson, it would be insane. So we'll talk about that later on. It really is becoming the big soap opera. That's pretty much what it boils down to. The soap opera of where Deshaun Watson is going to go. And it's going to have a ripple effect across the rest of the NFL. There's still some teams out there that got to figure out who they want at quarterback. And that's going to be a big deal too. And it's almost like Deshaun Watson will be the tipping point. Where will he go? Or will he stay in Houston? And will they trade him? Or will he even show up? If I would sit Deshaun Watson down if I were the general manager for the Houston Texans, and I would tell him, look, we want to keep you here because everybody wants to keep him there. Everybody wants to make a move to get Deshaun Watson with them. But when it comes down to this, though, I would sit him down and be like, look, is there anything we could possibly do to get you to change your mind and come back here? Just look him in the eye and ask him. And if he tells you no, then that's all you need to know. Shake his hand, thank him for his time, and then find the absolute best deal. But I would not give him away for nothing. That would not happen. Folks talking about, trade him for All right, can you guys hear me over there? Well, he's 25, Jimmy. He is 25, so I mean, I would say he's got, I don't know if he's going to play to Tom Brady years, but he's got at least, I'd say, 10 good years left. Hold on 1 second. I think that maybe 10 years. It's a good question. Yeah, this trade possibility is outside of crazy. If this could happen, my goodness, I truly have got nothing. If this happens, under this logic, Deshaun Watson is the most, the best quarterback of all time. If they can pull this much for him, just saying, he has to be perceived as that. Welcome back to the Rundown on Fox Sports Radio 1400 around the world on the iHeartRadio app. My name is Rob Sanders. I bring you more today of the Deshaun Watson saga. It really is a soap opera, ladies and gentlemen. That's pretty much what it boils down to. Where is Deshaun Watson going? Is he finding true love at a different spot other than Houston? Will it be the Carolina Panthers? Will he shock everyone and go to the New Orleans Saints? Or will his love take him to the Big Apple? A big price will have to be paid for the big arm quarterback out of Houston. What is that price? According to Peter King, big-time NFL writer for Pro Football Focus, says it's a 6-for-1 proposal for the New York Jets to get Deshaun Watson. That would include quarterback Sam Darnold, defensive lineman Quentin Williams, first-round picks in 2021, which would be the number 2 pick overall, and number 22, whichever pick is the best for the Jets, because they've got 2 next year, plus second-round picks in 2021 and 2023. So it's a 7-player deal in exchange for Deshaun Watson. Are you kidding me? Look, Peter King's been writing about the NFL for a long time. If he puts that out there, then that's not that far-fetched to think that that's what you're going to have. But giving up Quentin Williams, which is one of the few draft picks they've gotten right, in my opinion, here lately, Quentin Williams is on his way to becoming one of the most dominant defensive ends in the league. Take a second, go to my blog page at foxsportsradio1400.com, read on this story about the picks and the package that Peter King says it's going to take, and you can see how dominant of a player Quentin Williams is. I put some game film up there for you. And to give that up, and Sam Darnold, who needs a change of scenery, But I don't think you should throw the wool over Sam Darnold yet. I mean, he's not but 25, 24 at most. You're giving away a young quarterback that's made some had some points where he looked really good in the league, but the Jets have nobody to protect him. You got to think about that too. But you know what? There's one other little thing in this thing that says that the Jets, if this happens, Deshaun Watson has a no trade clause in his contract. If Deshaun Watson looks at the Jets and says, wait a minute, for me, you're giving up our best defensive lineman. You're also giving up the second round pick in this year's draft. And, basically our draft for the next 3 seasons. You're not going to get anybody to help me. I'm going to be out here. This team's going to be worse than the Houston team that I was on. Deshaun Watson wants to win, in my opinion. I don't think he wants to have a career where it's, 5 or 6 seasons where he wins a combined total of 20 games. He doesn't want that. It's just my guess. I could be wrong. But Deshaun Watson, in my opinion, wants to win. You can't win with the Jets. Not if you give up that much. Now, if they could come up with something that's not as one-sided, Brandon says the Panthers. He read about the Panthers would give up Christian McCaffrey, Teddy Bridgewater, and the number 8 pick in the first round. If you do that, at least you've still got some guys with the Panthers. So I think there's that too. You still got Mike Davis up there, who's a pretty good running back. Was kind of carrying the Panthers at the beginning of the season. They look pretty good with him out there. I know you got Christian McCaffrey there, and if he's ready to play, you got to put him out there too. But I don't know if that messed with the chemistry or not in the first season, because I think when Mike Davis was there, they were doing some pretty cool things, looking like a tough, rugged football team. And I don't know if McCaffrey threw off the balance or not. Now, I know people are thinking, well, Rob's bashing Christian McCaffrey. No, it's not like that. I'm just saying when you have something going and it's great, why mess with it? 803-978-1832, 803-978-1832 is the number to call. If you want to join us here on the rundown, do you think that's too big of a package for the to pick up Deshaun Watson? By the way, one other note today, the Washington football team announces plans for their new name, but they're going to keep their name as the Washington football team for at least one more season. The franchise launched the WashingtonJourney.com, which revealed the future of Washington football arrives in 2022. We've transitioned from our old name. Now it's time to write a new legacy. What are they going to call this team? The Washington Whooping Cranes? Is that what's going to happen? I mean, and I understand you, however you feel about this, as far as the stuff with the Redskins name, that's fine, but they should have the capability to go out and get a new name. Call themselves the Washington Senators, whatever. But you can't get people together in a calendar year, and I understand that we're in the middle of a pandemic, but you can't come up with a good name? It's going to take you another year to do it? You're going to have 2 years where you're just the Washington football team? We don't care enough about our team to actually give it a name, so just name it after the town that we're in. That's terrible. Terrible. They got to fix that, man. 803-978-1832, 803-978-1832 is the number to call. Remember, team owner Daniel Snyder had previously spoken out against a potential name change prior to the announcement last summer, where they finally stepped back and said, we're going to change the name of our team. What an absolute mess. Blake wants to know, are you starting to feel like we're coming out of the pandemic? Now, let me preface this by saying that I am not a doctor. I'm a dummy that has the capability to run his mouth on the radio show. That's pretty much my best clause in life, I guess. My best quality. That and I remember a lot of things. But I'm confident in a couple of things. I was telling my buddy Tom, big time Braves fan, big time Gamecock fan. He was posting something on Facebook the other day talking about, man, I hope to get to go to a Braves game this summer. I hope to get to go to a football game. And I think that baseball is going to get to a point where I'm thinking by the 4th of July weekend, we're going to be at 50% capacity. I'm on the 50, 75% range there. 50% for baseball by the middle of the season, July 4th, August 1st, something like that. And then I think it's going to be 75% for college football. And if we don't have the pandemic figured out by September, as far as the vaccination, so we've already got the vaccine, and that's the big thing. And if we could get to a point where enough folks take the vaccine and make sure they get both doses if they take that dose of it, I'm pretty sure we're going to be about 75% capacity and probably full capacity by the time football season ends. And I'm not a doctor. I'm just from what I read, it's kind of the way it looks. If you look out, test numbers are down. You know, there's a lot of stuff that's put out there about the number of deaths are up, but the number of tests are down. Positive tests anyway, in certain spots. All right, we'll take a quick break and we come back. We'll have more for you here on the rundown. This is Fox Sports Radio 1400. Well, Brandon, I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but Alshon Jeffrey is an older player, man. You know, can't get upset about that. You know, that's a good point there. I think that they're going to try to, I don't know how to put it, man. I think that they're going to, I think there's a section of the world that's like, look, we're tired of this stuff, man. And I think it's going to be who jumps first, to be honest with you there, Slim Shady. As far as best running backs coming back next year, well, Kevin Harris is going to be outstanding. Led the SEC in rushing last year. Don't know why he won't do it this year. Not a lot of people know about him because he played on a crap team. But Kevin Harris from South Carolina is going to be really good. Really good.
Sports Radio, Fox Attitude. You're listening to Fox Sports Radio 1400.
In case you missed the big news from today, Tiger Woods in an accident. The LA County Sheriff's Office provided an update on the crash, saying it was a rollover accident in which Woods was injured, and it has been identified as him. He was cut from the vehicle with the jaws of life by the LA County firefighters and paramedics, transported to a local hospital by ambulance for his injuries. According to CNN, the 15-time major champion has injuries ranging from moderate to critical. Another report states that Woods suffered multiple leg injuries and is currently in the hospital. So, yeah, there's that. Let's head out to the phones. Good afternoon. Welcome to the Rundown.
Hey, Rob, how's it going?
Hey, what's up, buddy? How are you?
I'm good. I was listening to you describe that horrendous trade deal the Jets were talking about putting together. And as a Tampa fan, I want to see it happen because I need some reassurance that I don't have the dumbest front office in the NFL. And I get they just won a Super Bowl, but they won one before. and prove that they're still the dumbest front office in the NFL.
Well, it's kind of hard to knock Tampa Bay right now when they're the champions. But hey, if you're a fan and you think that your front office is stupid, man, then you have more than any right to say that. But if they give up that much, the Quentin Williams thing is just off the charts stupid. I mean, you have to have at least one good playmaker on the defensive side of the ball, and they've got that with him. And he's not even 24 yet. So you're going to give that away and a young quarterback and 5 picks? Stupid. Absolutely stupid. I mean, that's like Bill O'Brien stupid.
Yeah, and I was talking to somebody about the Jets during this season, and I don't think Sam Darnold could turn out to be a bad quarterback if the Jets will work in the draft to get him some pieces.
Well, I think he's got tiptoe syndrome. He's been hit so much. He thinks, everything's a step fast. And I think that he needs to be somewhere where he could have a decent offensive line just to see what he could do and have somebody to throw the ball to. It's not like he had anybody to throw the ball to up there with the Jets either. I mean, he was pretty much go on out there. Let's see what you can do. So yeah, there's definitely that too. And I'll tell you what, the change of scenery might help him a lot. If they did make that trade and he went to Houston, then Houston's got the number 2 pick. They could go wide receiver, trade down, get another guy there. They've got Laramie Tunsil at left tackle, so he'll have somebody protecting his backside, something he hasn't had in his entire career. So that could be something good for him. I mean, if you are Darnold, you're kind of hoping that trade goes through. But if they make that trade, I mean, I don't think Watson would approve it, though. I mean, that's just – you got nothing up there now if that happens.
No, you really don't. And I think you're right. I think Deshaun and I think this really could go for any player. Even the ones that are chasing money, they still want to go to a team where they're going to win. Or they want to at least go to a team where they're going to be able to put up, good enough numbers to try and make it to the Hall of Fame one day, even if they're not, winning a ton of games.
Right.
So
nobody wants to go 4-12.
No, they really don't. I mean, even, maybe Miami's a good landing spot for him. I don't have a whole lot of faith in Tua going forward. I mean, I've kind of gone with the common thought of him since college that he's made out of glass. So I think his career is a ticking time bomb.
Well, I think that if Miami did that after moving up to pick him, I mean, that says I can't believe they made that decision on him that quickly. But remember, they took him out and put in old man River Fitzpatrick in the middle of a game. So, I mean, they can't be that, that sold on him, to be completely honest with you.
They can't be. And you know what? Having Fitzpatrick as my quarterback before, I'd take him over Jameis in a heartbeat. We actually won a few games with old Fitzmagic in there.
Well, Jameis Winston's a disaster. I mean, you know that as well as I do. $1 million arm, 10-cent brain, that guy is the mentality that I've got with him. He can make every throw he wants. It's just that sometimes he's just not very bright where he throws the ball. So,
well, I did hear he got LASIK surgery done, so maybe now he could see who he's throwing to.
I don't know if that's going to help him or not. Some of the throws he made with Tampa, you've seen that. I mean, some of the throws he made were just stupid. How does that happen?
They really were. Don't ask me. And see, what gets me is I don't put all of it on him. I really don't, because you kind of saw some of it this year with Bruce Arians' attitude of throw the ball, and then throw it some more. One game in particular I can think of off the top of my head was that NFC Championship game against the Packers.
Right.
I mean, Leonard Fournette was busting them off for 4 or 5 yards a carry.
Well,
why are you putting the ball in the air?
That too, and the backup to Fournette, whose name escapes me right now. I mean, they have a hell of a 1-2 punch in those guys. And Tom Brady should just be managing the game, in my opinion, with those two guys. And then when you got to throw it.
Ronald Jones.
Jones. There we go. Thanks for educating me today. I learned something. Being a Packers fan, though, watching those two guys bust up my Packers defense, that really bothered me. That really bothered me. There was nothing Green Bay could do about it. Nothing.
Well, I'm trying to soak it in while I have the chance because, I mean, Tampa just is what Tampa is. And unless they smarten up and find a quarterback, for the next couple of years when Brady decides to retire, because I imagine they might get one extra year out of his contract tops, and that'll be it.
Yeah.
And Blake Bortles isn't it. But unless they find somebody, Tampa's going to go back to being what Tampa normally is.
Yeah, 6 to 8 win team, something like that. And they've just got to, I don't know how to fix that. There's a lot of teams that are like that. So we shall see.
Well, and I mean, I said it before they got Brady, just talking to people. I said, you take Jameis's interceptions away. I said, that's a playoff caliber team with what they had on defense and then the weapons they had on offense.
Right.
And I think they're going to get, a couple more big name free agents, and they might pull off another one while Brady's there. But I was talking to a buddy of mine the other day. I told him, I said, I think they need to take quarterback in the draft, somebody to sit behind Brady for a year, maybe 2 if he does a 1-year extension, and because that's about all you're going to get out of him, and you're going to have to look beyond just the next couple of years.
The pick that I would look out for is Mac Jones. There's talk of Mac Jones possibly being there that late. If he's there that late, I would look at him or Trask from Florida. I mean, that would make a lot of sense. Let him sit for a year. Let him watch what's going on. And I don't know if Brady's going to be the kind of guy that would help train a younger quarterback. I don't know. But that would be the interesting pick there for them. If they're going to go early and draft a quarterback, that's probably what they should do.
I mean, maybe here's my thing with Mac Jones, and only time is going to tell whether I'm right or wrong.
Right.
Is Mac Jones legit, or is Mac Jones a product of all the talent around him? And I've compared him, because I'm a Miami fan, I've compared him to Ken Dorsey. A lot of the intangibles, but Ken Dorsey was a product of all the talent around him that made him look a lot better than he was.
Right. That's a good point.
And maybe not. I don't know. Like I said, only time's going to really answer that question.
Well, I'll tell you what, man, I got to take a break, but I appreciate you calling us here on the Rundown this afternoon, man. Thanks so much.
All right, boss. I appreciate it.
All right, there you go. Blake mocking me saying, Mac Jones, come on. Well, I'm trying to think of quarterbacks there. Folks like Mac Jones. Really do. Jimmy says Jameis Winston is brain dead. Yeah, that's valid. Blake also says looks like Tiger crashed on a straight 4-lane road with no other cars around in perfect weather conditions. What are you trying to say, sir? Maybe you took the turn too bad. I don't know. We shall see. I'll update you on the stuff that has come out about that with Tiger Woods injured. More of the Rundown in just a moment. You're listening to Fox Sports Radio 1400. No problem, Slim Shady. Okay, that's true. I'll give you that. What about Kyle Trask then? We can go Kyle Trask, right? He can make the throws. There's going to come a time where a Bama quarterback's going to make it. I mean, I think. In theory, 1/15 of the NFL has Alabama starting quarterbacks there, Blake. Just saying, throwing that out there. Hey, I was I sat in on Frank Martin's Zoom meeting earlier today. And he was talking about with Mississippi State, how they set really physical screens. And he said he's trying to implore his team to go through the screens. And I'm like, what? If you blow up a screen and you hit the guy, I mean, the refs are going to call that. You can't just, blow through them. You have to slip the screen. But by what he was talking about, maybe I misunderstood him, but we've got to blow up those screens. Doesn't work. I don't get it. Yeah, but those are old quarterbacks, Jimmy. Old quarterbacks. Older than us. A lot older than us. Blake, why in God's name would I ever Google that? I'm just sitting around the house one day thinking I'm going to Google what you just wrote down. No, that's not happening. Welcome back to the Rundown on Fox Sports Radio 1400. Around the world on the iHeart Radio app. Of course, you can follow on Fox Sports Radio 1400's Facebook page. And I tell you what, lots of comments over there about things I cannot mention on the air. My goodness. You guys are hardcore over there in the chat room. Join the hardcore chat room over there. Go and check that out at foxsportsradio1400.com. By the way, the big story today, Tiger Woods is injured in a car crash. And in that car crash, the report says ranged from moderate to critical. Yeah, that's not good. Not good at all. Multiple leg injuries and is currently in surgery is another report that's out there. So we'll see exactly how that works out for Tiger Woods later on. By the way, Gamecock baseball today, they square off with Winthrop. First pitch in that game down at Founders Park is just after 4 o'clock today. So go ahead and check that out. Clemson's off this week. They start the rivalry series on Friday with South Carolina at Clemson. Game 1 there. Game 2 in Greenville up there where the Drive play on Saturday. And then Sunday's matchup is here in Columbia. So big 3-game series for the Clemson and South Carolina baseball teams. Latest D1 and Baseball America polls are out. Gamecocks are ranked 18th in one. I think 17th or 16th in the other. Clemson not ranked in either poll. They are ranked in the collegiate baseball poll. There are so many different polls out there that they do for baseball. Out of respect for my buddy Joe Healy, who joins us on the show, I generally pay attention to Baseball America. But the other ones are just as respected, to be honest with you. So there's that to look at too. A couple of other little notes before we get out of here. We've got, as I said, the baseball series coming up this weekend. We talked yesterday about Notre Dame opting out of the EA Sports game. Just more reason for people that don't go to Notre Dame to not like Notre Dame. It's basically what that boils down to. Insane with all of that stuff. Oh, well, we're just going to opt out. Really? Okay. Okay. JJ Watt sends Bills fans into a frenzy with a bizarre tweet. He tweeted out, mitochondria is the powerhouse of the cell. I mean, that's kind of some basic science lesson stuff. Then someone tweeted back at him, Mitochondria Research Center located in Buffalo. JJ Watt to the Bills. Yeah, I don't see that happening. Blake says after the game in Texas, both Mississippi State and Ole Miss are going to be tough to beat this year in baseball. Ole Miss right now looks like a machine. I mean, they really do. If you watched any of their stuff last week, they looked really, really good. That entire SEC West, you could make an argument that every team, I think every team in the West is going to make the tournament, but I think that 5 teams could host regionals. I honestly think that. I mean, they are that league, that side of the league over there is stacked. Now, Florida's supposed to be awesome over in the East, but they dropped 2 of 3 to Miami. Not that losing a series to the number 11 team in the country is going to completely put your team in the toilet. But it is interesting, though, that the SEC West is so heavy on that side in baseball and in football, too. But looking forward to that matchup this weekend, the big rivalry matchup here in South Carolina. If you're listening somewhere else, I know my buddy out in Hawaii, Eric, is listening. He's going to be – the game's at 4 o'clock. I think it's – I don't know what the time difference is, but he's going to have to be either up late or up early or whatever to catch those games, man. It's cool the way things are now with TV. You can pretty much watch any team you want now, regardless of where you are. I was watching last night. I can't remember why I turned it on, but I was watching the Notre Dame women play Pittsburgh. And I'm like, why am I watching this game? I just like basketball, I guess. But, yeah. As I said, Clemson basketball tomorrow at 4:30 as they go to Wake Forest. That's going to be interesting, too. Coming off the COVID pause, is their timing going to be right? You know, they lost last year at Wake Forest. Clemson's ranked 38 right now in the net rankings. That's good enough to get you right there into the tournament. But you want your net rankings number to go into the toilet, go to Wake Forest and lose. That will do it for you quickly. Of course, South Carolina in the matchup with Mississippi State tomorrow. Blake says they won't let you go to the game, so it should be made available at the university as the university is taxpayer funded. Yeah, you know, I'm at the point with all of that stuff now where it's like, wow. And I'm ready for the pandemic to be over. I think everybody can agree with me on that. As I sit here in my studio here, I have to wipe the studio down when I leave every day. Got to wear this mask to walk down the hall to a different studio to do other work. I mean, pandemic sucks. I mean, it really does. It really does. You can't plan family vacations. It's a disaster. I think we're all ready for the pandemic to be over with. By the way, Lawton Swan from Clemson Sports Talk hasn't done a show here since the pandemic started. I doubt he comes back. I think he's just going to feed the alligators there at Castle Day Swan and have the queen of Clemson Sports Talk feed him grapes with a slingshot and make him smoothies. I think that's pretty much what's going to be from Lawton Swan from now on. Be sure to follow him this afternoon. He will be on the vast Clemson Sports Talk Radio Network. Of course, the mothership right here at Fox Sports Radio 1400. Also, Sports Radio 100.1, The Fan in Florence. 9:20 a.m. in Manning. Don't forget, check out Lawton. All kinds of good info on college football and just about everything else. So don't forget, check out Clemson Sports Talk. I'm making sure I got to.
Stop looking at me, Swan.
I've got to play it again.
Stop looking at me, Swan.
Anyway, Lawton Swan. Follow him at ClemsonSportsTalk.com. Blake says you can get round-trip flights from Nashville to Vegas for $59. Yeah. I think this year, when we take our vacation, we're going to go to a beach and just, have it where we got our own little space there, or we're going to go into the mountains and get a cabin. That's probably what we're going to do. That's the big plan. If I'm trying to convince the folks at home on that. Get a big cabin and, go on hikes, etc. My kids will love that. Oh, God, we're going on another walk. I don't want to do that. I can hear it now. Why doesn't the Wi-Fi work? Because we're in the middle of nowhere. That's why. Because Dad doesn't want to check his email. That's why. I want to listen to trees and everything else. Yeah. That's what I'm doing with my existence, talking to my kids about that. Wish me well on that. I may just ask Lawton if I can come stay at Castle Day Swan. That might happen too. All right. Don't forget, podcast for the show will be up tomorrow. Don't forget, tomorrow also, today we did running back U. Tomorrow is DEU, Defensive End University. Finishing up the numbers on that tonight. I think it's going to be safe to say that Alabama is going to be in the top 3. Yeah. Alabama fans are like, of course, stupid. All right. Well, there you go with that. Quarterback U on Friday. More of the rundown tomorrow. This is Fox Sports Radio 1400. Cody, with Tennessee, man, you can't really say much. Remember, Peyton Manning is the king of the tea bags. Just remember that. All right. All that was dusted underneath the stuff there, but that wasn't very cool at all with what Tim Tebow did. I need to watch that, Blake. I appreciate you guys checking us out today, man. Thumbs up the video. Jackpot and I on the air tomorrow night at 9:30. Lord only knows. Oh, we have if you watch the show, we were talking about what was going to happen first, a Georgia arrest or a Tennessee player transfers. We have a winner. We'll talk about that tomorrow night. But we have the DEN show tomorrow. So we'll talk to you guys then. Thanks so much.